If you feel like you can't stay consistent, especially with food, then this video is for you. I spent almost 10 years restarting every Monday, eating perfectly all day, and then losing control at night, wondering why I kept sabotaging myself. And I want you to know there is nothing wrong with you. Consistency isn't impossible. You just haven't been taught the real reason why it feels so hard. In this video, I'm going to show you what finally changed everything for me and how I went from years of failed diets to finally staying consistent for the first time and losing 13 kilos in a year. Now, I know that at the moment, consistency might feel impossible, but there's a reason why you feel that way. Usually, when people think about consistency, they think about perfection, pressure, and not messing up. But consistency does not mean that there has to be this huge amount of punishment and pressure behind it. This huge amount of pressure that you put on yourself to be perfect, to do everything right and not mess up, does not promote consistency. It actually promotes your brain getting overwhelmed because stress leads to avoidance, and avoidance then leads to procrastination, which then does not lead to consistency. It's not that you can't stay consistent or you're failing at what you want to do. It's that you uphold yourself to impossible standards that aren't really achievable in the long run, and you can't stay consistent because you set yourself up for failure, basically. For example, I used to give up and throw out the whole entire diet because of one snack, because of one thing that I ate, because I thought consistency meant being perfect. But now that I unlearned this, that I try to rewire my brain and figure out that you don't have to be perfect to be consistent. In fact, it's the opposite. The less perfectly you try to do things, the more consistent you're going to be able to become, because good enough is better than perfect, especially for consistency. This is one of the root reasons why you or many people restart every week. It's not because of laziness, it's because it's a protective response to way too much pressure. The second reason you might actually be struggling with consistency is because instead of trying to be compassionate with yourself, you're trying to achieve consistency through willpower and not even being nice to yourself. Because what I've noticed, at least for me, shame has not made me or anyone, I think, consistent like self-love has. Because for me, willpower kind of feels like being really harsh with yourself and talking negatively, always feeling bad when you do something wrong, and not having any compassion with yourself when something happens, when you might eat something that you feel like isn't right or isn't in your meal plan or anything like that, that you're very harsh with yourself. And when that happens, when you're harsh with yourself and you force yourself to do something, that increases the wanting to eat out of your plan even more because you feel like it's forbidden. When you're not allowed to do something, especially with food, I've noticed, you want it more when you can't have it than when you actually can. At least for me, that was the case. When I allowed myself to have everything and I actually started to have compassion and self-love during this process, it made everything so much easier. Like, you cannot hate yourself into consistency. You need to have compassion for yourself. You probably have compassion for other people. You wouldn't tell your friend that she should stop sticking to her goal just because one day didn't go as planned or one thing didn't go as planned. You would tell her, come on, it's just one day. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything for your self-worth. It doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't say anything about you. So that's what you should tell yourself. If that's easier, if it's easier to tell yourself to speak like you would with a friend, maybe that would help. But you really need to talk to yourself with compassion, because otherwise you will not be consistent. The next thing that I realized on my journey to being more consistent is that for the longest time, my definition of consistency was completely wrong. Consistency doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing every single day. Doesn't mean that you need to be at 100% and be perfect every single day. It means that you need to show up in the season of life that you're in every time. It might vary every day, but if one day your capacity is at 50% and you give 50%, that is amazing, and that's exactly what you want. You don't have to give 100% every single time. You need to do the right thing for the season that you're in, or for the way that you feel that day. Especially for women, hormones and energy levels and just phases of life, they change constantly. You need to be compassionate with yourself and figure out what is the best thing to do on that day, in that week. How can you plan for consistency constantly while still being true to yourself and with how you feel in that moment? Because if you're feeling bad, and like for example, if you're sick and you do not go to the gym, and then in turn you feel like you didn't stick to your plan, you weren't consistent. But the definition of being consistent in that way is wrong, because how could you go to the gym and have it be healthy for you if you're sick, if you're feeling bad, if you had another commitment that day? Of course, if it happens all the time that you have another commitment, that won't keep you consistent. But if things come up and you can't be consistent once or twice because of circumstances, you should not beat yourself up about it and feel bad and be like, oh, I can't be consistent. You need to trust yourself that you're going to get back into it and actually do that, actually get back into it without feeling bad about yourself. And consistency does not mean that you have to be rigid. You do not have to have a fixed plan every single week or month or whatever. Consistency means that you can be flexible. I think that's one of the best skills that I've learned during my whole weight loss journey that I've had, is to be flexible with your plan, with your life and everything that comes along. Because, even vacation, you can't expect yourself to be consistent the way that you are at home when you're on vacation. You need to be flexible and be open to other things, and knowing that maybe on vacation you're going to walk more, but you're not going to do structured workouts. And that is okay. That's still being consistent, a season of life that you're going to be in. Don't set yourself up for failure because you don't have a good definition of consistency. Now, something that I really had to learn the hard way is that you cannot stay consistent with habits that do not match your identity. But in turn, your identity is built by tiny little habits or tiny little things that build evidence to the person that you actually want to become, to the identity that you want to have. They're kind of different sides of the same coin, because one thing leads to another and everything kind of rolls into the next, which in turn makes consistency easier. Just start and do tiny little things that keep you consistent with your identity. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing that you do. You don't have to work out every single day, but kind of know who you want to become and who the person that does the things that you want to do is, and figure out what their habits are. Figure out what they do in the day-to-day. Because when you know that, even if it's just small things like, oh, the person I want to become drinks enough water every day. And even if you just do that one single habit every single day, it builds your identity of being a healthy person, a person that cares about their fitness and about their health. And that happens, that little identity building, even when you're not in the gym, even when you're not figuring out what you want to eat. And that still has to do with consistency, because once you do have the identity of being a healthy person, being a person that cares about their health, then consistency becomes so much easier because you don't have to do it with willpower. You don't have to wait for motivation. You just have the priority of caring for your health as your identity, which makes it like second nature. For example, things that I used to think about myself were that I'm someone who always fails. I cannot stick to something because after a while, I just give up and it's too hard. But noticing the little shifts that I made and the more I kept going made my identity shift into I'm trying. I don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look the same every single day, but I'm trying, and every single time I feel like I've messed up, I keep going. And doing that actually helps you with consistency because it changes your identity. But I think the moment that it finally clicked for me was when I actually started to implement and do one thing at a time. Not transforming everything at once, but focusing on small changes one at a time. Because otherwise it just gets way too overwhelming, too much pressure, and you're setting yourself up to fail and not be consistent. And that also ties into being kinder to yourself and giving yourself grace when you do mess up, because it will happen, but it's part of life. And the more you're kind to yourself and actually do not spiral and are just like, you know what, it's okay, it's part of life. And it's gonna get better, but I'm just gonna keep going, the less those moments are actually going to happen, the less out of control you're gonna feel. So if you've been trying for years, but nothing has ever stuck, there's nothing wrong with you. And I really hope that you can take a few of these principles or things that I've learned and implement them into your life and just know that you're not inconsistent. You've just had the wrong approach and you've just been maybe way too harsh on yourself. So you got this, and I believe in you. And if you want to see the actual habits that I built to stay this consistent, you can watch the video that is going to pop up on the screen right now, because habits are the foundation to everything. So I really hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that I see you in my next video. Bye!